Hello, everybody. Jonathan Poley here with West Coast Weather. Today is September 15th, and the current time is 6:30 Pacific Daylight Time. And in today's video, we're just going to go over the nice weather that we're going to have this weekend and some troughs that are looking to come and swing through the area early next week and into the middle of next week. But the models are still disagreeing on the exact timing and the strength of those weather systems. And then we're also going to look at what later September may hold in the weather world, but really that's going to be too far out. But it's good to still look at some things. But so, without further ado, let's get right into the video. Right now, we're looking at the GOES 18 satellite imagery of the West Coast. Alaska's up here, British Columbia is down here, Washington, Oregon, and California. Looks like a lot of California has got a lot of fog on the coast and cooling things out. That's usually pretty typical for California this time of the year. And there's a pretty strong cyclone up here in the Gulf of Alaska. Should launch into the Northwest Territories of Canada. It shouldn't really affect the Washington, Oregon, and California really that much, other than maybe some clouds on Sunday and Monday. And then there's you can see all the individual little fires or the grayer areas of cloud, and they kind of spark up in the afternoon. That tends to happen. That's like the diurnal cycle of fire smoke. They usually flare up in the afternoon, and that's when they usually have their biggest smoke plumes and even some pyrocumulonimbus clouds as well. But there's even some convection down here in the California mountains. So, but those shouldn't be that big of an issue. So, without further ado, let's go and check some of the models out, see what weather we may expect. This is the high-res European model, and this is looking at the general ridge and trough position way up in the atmosphere. So, as we're going through the weekend, there's really a ridge that's kind of held in place for a lot of Oregon, Washington, and California. There's a little upper level low off of California that may spark some convection up in the mountains, but really shouldn't be a big issue. And then for on Sunday, like Sunday morning, a weak shortwave trough moves through like north of Washington. Really should only be a cloud maker, not really much else. And then you watch this bigger trough up in the Gulf of Alaska. That's what's resulting in that cyclone that's over the Gulf of Alaska. And as we head into Monday, that kind of crashes over British Columbia. Kind of goes into the Pacific Northwest, but it really doesn't affect the area as much. There may be some light precipitation with that as we go into Monday evening. And as we keep going on the European model, a secondary trough drops down. A lot of the models have been showing something like this. They've been trending a little more eastward. It's still over 5 days out, so we still got time to look at this. But that wouldn't really bring as much rain. It would bring in cooler temperatures and such, but if you really want rain, that's not the trajectory that you want a trough to take. You want it to be more of the water and draw more moisture in. And then, so there's generally troughing over much of the West Coast because there's the upper level low off of California spinning there. And then they kind of meet up right over the west, and that should generate some precipitation over the West Coast as well. So that'd be interesting, but we're getting even farther out into the future, so it's not becoming as reliable. And then a ridge starts forming late week on this model. And then even another trough moves in. That would be a little more of an intense trough, but the models have been flip-flopping back and forth out there, and that's to be expected when you go over 7 days out on the models. So let's head over to the GFS and look how it has things. Ridging over the weekend, which is to be expected because it's such a short time range, so the models are usually going to be pretty connected with each other. And as we move into Sunday, that little shortwave is a little stronger on the GFS, but it really shouldn't be that much of an issue for Washington. And then as the trough moves into British Columbia, the mountains up there in the north and in Alaska are getting a lot of rain and stuff and a lot of storminess. As we head early into the week, that trough still swings through the northern Pacific Northwest and continues to open up on Tuesday over much of the West Coast. It's kind of a little weaker on the GFS, but the GFS has also been waffling back and forth. And it's a little weaker with that troughing. The ridge, this really large ridge starts building there and starts warming us up again. As we go a little farther out, it's that same sort of trough at the end of the week as well. Yeah, another trough that would be a little more intense. But really, that would still be a pretty dry scenario because it's not spending that much time over the water, not grabbing up a lot of the moisture. And then really troughing sets up over much of Canada and the central US, not affecting the Pacific Northwest that much. But as we head way out past 10 days on the GFS, crazy things usually happen. And that's what we're seeing right now. And another trough opens up over the Pacific Northwest. That would be a more intense trough, but there's not really any reliability. It's just kind of fun to look at this stuff. So we go over to a graphic from the National Weather Service of Seattle. There's some elevated fire weather conditions today through tomorrow, Saturday. This is mainly for the Cascades and the Cascade Valleys, but some warm temperatures and relative humidity values below 30% can cause some rapid fire spread, especially when we've had a lot of dry weather this past summer. So just be careful when you're out there. And the National Weather Service of Spokane also has a very nice graphic on that, also showing the breezy conditions with also low humidity values for the Okanagan Valley and parts of eastern Washington into northern Idaho, particularly the Wenatchee area across the Columbia Basin. Increased potential for rapid fire spread for any new or ongoing fires. So just make sure that you're heeding all burn bans out there and make sure not to spread any fires or light the state on fire. And this is looking at the National Weather Service of Medford, Oregon. They're showing that the really warm temperatures this weekend, almost near 100 in Medford, Oregon. But it's well above normal right now. But watch as the temperatures just crash down into the 70s and even the 50s over in Crater Lake. But that's really high up in elevation. But it's definitely, the cool down looks to be coming, but whether or not we get a good bit of precipitation out here in the west, that's still kind of on the table. It's not looking like we're going to get a ton with these first couple troughs. So let's go look at the precipitation. Actually, here's the European model. This is actually this evening right now. Really dry for the entire west coast with that ridge over the area. As we head in the Sunday, that weak system that I was talking about crashes into British Columbia. Really, maybe a shower in Washington, but not really. It's going to mostly be a cloud maker set Sunday evening through Monday morning. So we head into Tuesday, another weak system. This one would be a little stronger than the last one. That actually has got some better rain chances with it. Some light rain showers and over western Washington, the Cascades. Some of that moves east as the trough opens up over the interior mountain west. And as we head into Wednesday, you can see the low pressure associated with that trough. It's kind of just generally over the interior mountain west. Now in the Nevada and California, this scenario would allow for some more moisture into the Sierra and Nevada mountains. Even some winter precipitation mixing in at the higher elevation. That would be interesting. But we're heading towards fall right now, so that's going to be starting to be expected for the higher terrain. Some light precipitation continues over some of the Nevada, Idaho, Eastern Oregon, California. And then another trough comes into Washington, the Pacific Northwest, brings some snow to some of the Cascades and British Columbia, brings some precipitation over Oregon, but this is 7+ days out, so there's not really much reliability, just kind of looking for fun to see how much precipitation there might be. Some more wraparound moisture wrapping around the low pressure coming back over Washington. But now let's go and look at some of the temperatures we can expect. So let's go this afternoon. It's been a pretty warm and nice afternoon over much of the west. Lots of 90s in the central California valleys, 80s and 90s in the Willamette Valley, 80s in the eastern of Washington and Oregon, with 70s in the mountains and the valleys, and cooler near the coast. As we go into Saturday, relatively the same. Even some 90s starting to work their way in the eastern Washington. And then as we head into Sunday, you notice how it starts cooling down. It's still some 90s in Eastern Washington, but it's not as widespread. Only around 73 for Portland. That's a pretty nice day. Not as warm though. So we head in the early next week. Yeah, look at this. Monday, really all 80s are out of most of the Pacific Northwest, other than maybe southern Idaho. Yep, and it's really cool. So as the trough moves over there, and more marine air moves into the region, and allows for the cooler temperatures and clouds, and maybe some rain, but it's not really looking that hopeful right now. So the temperatures are looking pretty nice. So get out there and enjoy the weather these next couple of days, and we'll continue to watch the storm systems moving in. And yeah, just get out there and enjoy the sun, because once fall starts hitting, we're not going to get as much sunny days, and there's going to be more clouds, more rain, especially as we go into November. So just get out there and enjoy that. Well, that's it for this video. Please just go out and enjoy that weather as we have it for now, because we know we won't have as nice of weather as we head into the fall and winter months. So this is a nice thing to just have. But if you enjoyed this video and wouldn't mind supporting the channel, just hit that like button down below and hit the subscribe button as well. And if you don't want to miss out on any new uploads I have, please hit that notification bell as well. And hitting the like button and subscribing just helps the algorithm out and help more people find the video. And yeah, it just helps the channel out in general. So I hope everybody enjoyed this video, and I'll talk to you next time.